Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Grit and Equity Talks podcast with yours truly, Dr. India White. I'm thrilled to be here with you guys in this holiday season. I hope that you guys are able to somehow find gratefulness, celebration in this time, and that you're staying safe and that you're staying warm, especially for those that live up north. With that said, I do want to transition. Let's make some announcements. First things first, the Grit and Equity Talks podcast with Dr. India White will be featured on the X Factor EDU network, hosted by Dr. Matthew Joseph. You can also find it on Spotify. Okay. In addition to that, I would love for you guys to follow me on social media. My social media accounts, you'll have Facebook is Miss India White, LinkedIn is The India White, Twitter is Indy Speak and Teach, Instagram is Indy238, YouTube is India White 123, TikTok is Dr. India White. I welcome everybody that is coming to me with a good spirit, that is wanting to work together, that is wanting to celebrate this work on Grit. You are more than welcome to follow me and to be a part of the tribe. I appreciate it very much. Next, I wanted to remind you guys to please check out the website for updated books, blogs, or to schedule me for a speaking or coaching event. I'm super excited about some events I have coming up. The calendar is filling up. I'm excited about January, going to Utah and some other places. February, I have a really cool shindig that we're doing in Sarasota, Florida, going back home. In March, looking forward to doing some work in Georgia. So with that said, keep reaching out to me. Let's make some things happen together. I wanted to remind you guys of the Grit Mini Workshop on the Grassroots Workshops website. Very professional page, a wonderful place, a hub for teachers to go to feel safe, to know that they're getting great content. So I'm grateful to be one of the people on there. They have so many wonderful workshops. Please give them a chance. Whenever you get a chance, give them a shot. Check out some of the content. The name of mine is How to Harness Grit to Help Students Thrive. Thank you to everybody that has looked into it and given it a chance. I also wanted to remind you guys, I am still tutoring students and helping you however I need to through the Grit Academy. I'm looking to do more with that definitely next year. So if you're interested in supporting at all, please give me a shot or give me a ring and let me know. Also, I'm hopeful to by the end of this year, we're going to host another Getting Gritty for the New Year's conference. I'm currently taking speaker proposals right now. So if you're interested in joining us, I think it's going to be a great time as we're launching into 2026 together. Lord willing. With that said, welcome again to the Grit and Equity Talks podcast. This show is if you're really trying to close the achievement gap, you're having classroom management issues, or students aren't motivated to do work, or maybe you're burning out a little bit, then you could join us on the Grit and Equity Talks podcast. We talk about various trending topics, different things that'll help you out as an educator, as a principal, and as a corporate leader. So thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today. With that said, I do want to go right into our lesson today. We'll be talking about grit, of course. We'll be talking about having gritty self-care for educators. Again, the name of the show today, we're talking about gritty self-care for educators and leaders, because I have found that so many teachers just are on the cutting edge of giving up. And it's very interesting. I want to share some news and some things that took place that will back up what I'm saying to you guys in this podcast. My hope is that you'll be able to take some kind of, knowledge from this as to how you can really have self-care, even though you're doing a wonderful job as a leader, but to really slow down enough and take care of yourself. So I wanted to share some tips with you guys just straight up. So first things first, set healthy boundaries to protect time management. I find that many of us that are leaders, we want to do it all, and sometimes we have a hard time delegating. And so we wind up working like way beyond our hours. We're not getting overtime. We're just doing it out of the goodness of our heart. And we really have to learn how to slow down and to learn how to say no and put up boundaries. It doesn't mean that you hate the job, doesn't mean you hate anybody, but you are still a person, especially if you have a family or you're like a single mom like myself, where you're doing this work, but yet you're putting yourself out there, all day, every day for everybody else. You do have to hone it in and learn how to say yes to yourself and yes to your family. In addition to that, the next tip is embracing a growth mindset in challenging seasons, emotionally, mentally taking care of yourself as well, not listening to negative fan bases, not not hanging out with people who they're not smiling when they see you walk in the room. Protecting yourself, protecting your emotions, protecting your finances, doing what you know is right and above board. The next tip for you rock stars would be learning how to practice micro resilience daily. I love this because this is like goal setting throughout the day and making yourself become resilient throughout the day by setting these little nuggets. And then you're resilient to meet goal 1, then you're resilient to meet goal 2. I don't know about you, but before I start my day, I try to write out an agenda of what I need to accomplish today. And usually that kind of just, decreases in urgency as I'm going along the day. But I try to cover, the basis of, okay, I've got to get these things done each day. So want to encourage you guys to continue to do the same if you're already doing that, and to, just consider taking it up if not. Also, building self-efficacy through small wins. You will not believe how many amazing leaders, including some of you guys watching this, you have what it takes, but then you still don't really believe in your efforts. Some of you are still pinching yourself like, oh my God, I can't believe I really got the job. I can't believe I really got that contract. And it's because somewhere, whether it was childhood, whether it was bullying incident, parenting incident, opportunity, somewhere along the line, you believe the lie that you weren't good enough or that you weren't competent, or maybe somebody told you, some negative words. Like for instance, in my life, somebody wrote on a paper that I would be a high school dropout and I'd be pregnant by my junior year high school. So, still kind of salty about that. Anyways, so I say this because, people mean well, but some people are knuckleheads. They say the dumbest stuff. They don't think of the impact it will cause. But what happens is sometimes we don't slow down enough to do the work that it takes to get rid of the negativity. So we're like believing that stuff, and it's trickling into our work life, where you're getting triggered, or you're not going for that promotion. You're not going for the opportunity. You're not talking about contracts and how you can negotiate because you believe that you just deserve the bare minimum. I had a recent colleague that told me that, they were trying to go to get a certain opportunity to work, and they settled significantly lower than what they would have usually charged. And it was like, they were like, oh, I'm just so grateful to get the job. But, I was looking at him like, if you have value, don't apologize for having that value, and don't convince yourself that you're worth less. You need to, understand your worth and continue to stand on that. Whenever you're encountering people that value you, because if somebody really values you, they'll show it. You don't have to twist their arm to make them show that to you. So I wish you all the best on that. So, and then of course, reflecting on what all that you've got going on. And it's kind of like, and I'm guilty of this, especially right now in this season, but it's like a computer tab. You have a million tabs that are open, but you've got to reflect, like, do I really need all these tabs? Like, do I really need all this going on right now in my life? Like in my computer search, is there something that I could click out of and, maybe open later? Maybe I can write it down on a paper and say, okay, you were working on A, B, C, D, E, and then you close those tabs. Is there something you can do so that you don't have to have 85 tabs open whenever you're working? Because, it slows down your computer and everything. Well, think of who you are as a person. Think of your mind. Think of your heart. Think of everything going on, your emotions. If a computer tab can do that, how about all the things that you're trying to juggle on the job and that extra project that you just said, yeah, I'll be the one, I'll take it. Think of all those different things that can really stress you out, and start asking yourself, how can you start really prioritizing and then delegating? I think that's the word of the year. It's like learning how to delegate so that you don't have to do every single thing. Listen, sometimes you do have to compromise within yourself, because especially if you're like a perfectionist or you're used to doing things really good, and it's hard for you to trust someone else because your name is on it and you don't want them to produce mediocre work or work that is not as good as the work that you feel like you would produce. If you find yourself in that predicament, I want to encourage you to still delegate and be grateful for the work that they did contribute, because I'm telling you, they will put a spin on it that you didn't think about. And that's what makes it so golden. So it might not look as pretty, but it might have more efficiency, more competency to it, because it's not just your mind working on it, but you have others at the table. So I want to encourage you guys at that as you're, considering self-care. I'm telling you, time management, delegation is key for this. And all of you that are CEOs, your leaders, your professors, your principals, I mean, you're the face of that organization. Like, you're leading it. And I understand, there's something about protecting your name, your reputation, but at the same time, you need to protect yourself. And I want to now share my screen and kind of confirm why I'm going over this with you guys today. So with that said, I'm going to go into a tab that really was really touching to me. It kind of confirms the need for self-care. Out to all y'all in Michigan. Look at here. Officials found Iona educator is found dead they were a high school principal. This is horrible. Okay, this was just yesterday. And let's read about it. It's horrible. So it says, Iona Public School Superintendent Ben Girk on Tuesday identified the man as Jason Little. He led Douglas R. Welch High School. Okay. He leaves behind a remarkable legacy, having positively impacted countless students, colleagues, and members in our community. I personally was blessed to be able to count him on as a trusted friend. Now that's a lot, and I know that's a beautiful bond that they had. All right, let's keep going. And it says, the superintendent said the district has been seen on supporting the family as well as the students, staff, and community. So sad. It says, Girk added that the school system has used its counselors and comfort dog to help those that are grieving. He says there's been an outpouring of support from neighboring communities. Okay. The Iona County ISD, Saranac Community Schools, and the local Meyer provided food. And then it says Lowell area schools, all these schools. This is great. Greenville Public Schools, all of these, it looks like, is it Okemos? Please forgive me if I butchered that. Supported our school community with staff and therapy dogs. Community mental health provider, The Right Door, okay, is providing these services. Now, interesting. It says last week they found that he was dead in an Ionia school. I'm not in the area. Please forgive me, you guys, you locals up there. You know what I'm talking about. Welch High School and the Bulldogs beginnings preschools were closed last Thursday as a result. Okay, so this is sad. It's just sad. Look at this. Jason was a devoted husband, loving father, and beloved son and brother, said his obituary. He was loved by everyone he met. He was always willing. Listen to this. Look, this is so many of us. He was always willing to lend a helpful hand or offer a kind word. He always brought laughter and fun to every room he entered. Man, he lost a good one. It says that 12 years as a history and social studies teacher and school principal. He is survived, so sad, by his wife, Ashley Little, and two children, Amelia and Isaac. So very sad. God bless his family. This is sad. He was more than a teacher. He was a mentor, a friend, a guiding presence in the lives of his students. His enthusiasm and history brought the past to life, while his kindness, patience, and dedication inspired those around him. So there you have it. We have to really take a moment and reflect on how does something like that happen? What do we do? What do we do wrong? Are we listening to our bodies signaling to us to be careful, to get rest, sleep? That's a big one. I know sometimes entrepreneurs, especially when they start really making money and they, exponentially start growing, a 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, whatever business, they start saying things like, have no sleep, have no sleep, have no sleep. Oh, have no sleep, go all night, and it's in moments like that when you realize, okay, I understand, but I need to also use wisdom. Don't apologize for it. I don't know about you guys, but I like to go to bed early before 10 o'clock. I'm really bad about having like long conversations. And I find that I can get a little short at night. If I am on the phone or if I have to drive or whatever, it's just not the best version of me. Because I've learned I have to take care of myself. And I think all of us have to slow down enough and realize you're going to have to delegate some things. You're going to have to, move some things on the calendar to the next day or the next week and not apologize for it. That doesn't mean that you just totally slack off, but you do need to. And also make sure you're communicating with you when you're doing this. I remember when I was, I had the honor of being an administrator years ago. And, I was young. I didn't know. I just had a lot of zeal, just wanted to help people. But I found I was not only an administrator, my church had prayer in the morning. And so I was very into God and all that stuff. So I would like go and drive, be at the church like 5 a.m. And, we would pray from like 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. And then I would drive to work. Well, as a result of doing that and going to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, I was saying I was like really in just pursuing God really heavily in my journey as a believer. And I can tell you what happened to me physically was it was like clockwork. Every Thursday or every other Thursday, I would try to get up, just to get up to go to work. And my body, it was like I would be laying down and I would try to get up to get up, and I could not move. It was like my body was paralyzed. And I was so afraid, like, what is happening to me? But I had to be honest. I overworked myself and I had to pump brakes. I had to stop. I'm a single mom and I was trying to do all this, working on a doctorate, doing all of that. I look back at that now and I'm like, oh my word, what was I thinking? I'm grateful for it because it taught me a lot. But I think definitely looking back, I definitely would not have been driving all those times early in the morning to go to church. Doesn't mean I don't love God. You need balance. And I think that, all those late nights at work, those games and oh my gosh, all that stuff is it could be a lot on you, but just being able to really take care of myself, staying hydrated, working out, making sure, I'm around good people, staying positive. I think that's definitely something I would have worked heavily on looking back at the situation now. And I think that all of us, no matter how involved we are, no matter how much you work out or whatever, our bodies still have a limit and you have to be careful with that. I remember my doctor told me, because I was like telling him how much I was working out and stuff. And he's like, because I was like, yeah, sometimes I get on the treadmill, late at night and I'm working out. I can work out for like 45 minutes, an hour, like late at night. And he was like, you might not want to do that because it's too close to, whenever you go to sleep, your body needs to rest. You don't want to overwork yourself so much right before you go to bed. And I took heed to that because I was going at a fast rate, really fast. Literally like trying to work out for at least an hour and a half every day, eating really healthy, but just being really stringent on my body. And for all of you guys that work out, like you understand what I'm saying. But I would like hit these workouts, man. I would be working out till like 11:45 at night, 12 in the morning. He was like, yeah, that stops like now. And so I realized, usually he said you need to stop all workout like before an hour before you go to bed. So I just say that because we have to practice self-care. We have to, learn how to have time management, learn how to put up healthy boundaries. But like this principle, like we've got to learn when enough is enough. We have to learn how to work out personal things going on in our life as well as we're also trying to lead, like so many of you guys are doing, and learn that it's okay to not be okay sometimes and to take a break. We have to accept that. I think I didn't come to terms with that concept until about 2 or 3 years ago. It was like, okay, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not have it together. It's okay to be human. It's okay to admit that I have issues. And it's okay to ask for help. And I know that's really hard for people that are confident and all this, but I tell you, I'm learning more and more how valuable other people are just on this journey. And I think that everybody just is inherently good, like Maslow talks about, but I feel like we need to utilize each other more, not use each other, utilize each other more. And so with that said, I do want to kind of go into something else that I found for us regarding self-care tips. So I found this one and leadership. So it says self-care is a hot topic in education, especially for teachers in school, right? School staff. Education has turned into a profession that is exhausting emotionally and even physically. Okay, let's keep going. And it says a survey found that more than 75% of teachers have seriously considered changing careers. Yeah, and 60% plan to change careers within 5 years. So to keep teachers in the profession, school leaders have made the self-care and wellness of teachers and support staff a priority. Like giving teachers massages and things like that on campus is fabulous. Okay, so it says support from school leaders is an important and significantly contributes to the satisfaction of teachers and support staff. Administrators can provide support in 3 main ways. First, by regulating work tasks, yes, delegation, and responsibilities outside of the classroom so that teachers and support staff can focus on their main jobs. Next, by supporting teachers and support staff in coping. This is huge with more challenging aspects of the profession. And then finally, creating a supportive environment, yes, even for your teachers, for all teachers and staff in the building. These supports help to build resilience, okay, in educators and mitigate burnout so that teachers and support staff will continue to show up for their students and remain in the field. There's nothing more discouraging as an educator to be in an environment where you feel like you're not being supported or you feel like people don't have your back emotionally, or you're in a gotcha environment, or you're in a micromanaging situation. It's very, very rough to deal with. So I hope that, as a leader, if you're listening to this, that you're able to adjust, and see how you can support your staff, and all those that you work with, so that everybody feels like they belong and they have a sense of belonging and a sense of support as they're doing this work. So let's keep reading. All right. So it says, while self-care and support for teachers and support staff have been a focal point, administrators and other school leaders have often forgot about their own well-being. Ding, 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 right? And then it says, however, the reality is that burnout is extremely common for school leaders, and that stress can be so frequent that it leaves school leaders physically and emotionally depleted. Horrible, to the point they no longer feel a sense of passion on the job, right? So let's keep going. So let's listen to what they have to say. Here are some, so they have like a quick 5-minute guided meditation video that you can do, okay, as advice. So the first thing they want you to do is to meditate. Okay, so let's go back to that. So it says meditate. So meditate. Meditation is the practice of clearing your mind, utilizing mental and physical techniques. You'd be amazed how many negative thoughts are just hanging out up there. You have to really clear, have like mental blockage. You got to get that out. Okay, so trying a quick 5-minute guided meditation video in the morning before work, okay, when you start to feel stressed. Okay, next, breathe. Proper breathing can decrease anxiety in the morning. I like to use the following breathing technique for added energy. It's pretty simple. You sit up tall, relax your shoulders, keep your mouth closed, and inhale and exhale rapidly through your nose with quick, short breaths. Do it about 10 seconds and repeat it several times. Research has shown that also as few as 3 deep breaths can reset your brain during times of stress. Okay, they keep going here. Then they say you want to sleep, you want to move, practice gratitude. Beautiful, beautiful. Having journal writing has its ardent believers, and research has shown that focusing on the positive improves mental health. Consider keeping a daily gratitude journal where you write down things that happen to you that you're thankful for, and it'll keep you in a positive frame of mind. And then I'm going to skip down to this last one that I'm going to kind of go over. Have fun. Plan trips with your family, okay? And it talks about every few months, plan an affordable getaway where you'll have fun with loved ones and where you can get away from the grind of work. It also has to be helpful to try and plan a fun activity on a weekly basis to increase things to look forward to. So that's from Blazerworks. I'm grateful that they published that for us to kind of look through. I also wrote a blog for you guys on my website where I talked also about just gritty self-care tips during the holidays. So I can share my screen and I'll start going through that. But then, of course, you guys can kind of take it out afterwards and, kind of look through it as well. So gritty self-care tips for teachers and principals during the holidays. So it says, what are some tips? I gave you guys 10 tips. So whether you're guiding a kindergarten classroom, leading a school, or shaping a district-wide decision, you're required to show up daily with strength and consistency. And so today's professions face growing demands, shifting expectations, and intensified pressures, especially with AI. It says, yet in the midst of these challenges, educators continue to push forward with grit. I tell you, they're resilient. They're amazing. And it says, but thriving in this vocation requires more than effort. It requires a marriage of grit and self-care. So again, that requires a marriage of grit and self-care. So using the grit framework, growth mindset, resilience, self-efficacy, and time management, it'll offer you guys a roadmap for teaching and leading with excellence while preserving emotional and spiritual well-being. So I have 10 different tips for you. I'll read a couple and then we'll wrap this up. So we know Dr. Carol Dweck talked about growth mindset. So we talk about embracing a growth mindset. Okay, a growth mindset encourages educators to view setbacks as not as failures, but learning opportunities. Because when teachers and leaders shift their thinking in this way, they develop adaptability and emotional strength. Also, practicing micro resilience daily. So Ravik and Shade, or I don't know. Forgive me for butchering. They define micro resilience as the small intentional behaviors that strengthen our ability to bounce back from adversity. So educators can practice micro resilience by taking short reflective breaks, resetting between transitions, or engaging in calming breathing exercises, as we just mentioned before. These strategies interrupt the stress cycle and they help prevent emotional overload. Okay. And the last one I'll cover is the third one, building self-efficacy through small wins. Bandura, love his work on self-efficacy, just demonstrates that the belief in one's capacity significantly influences motivation, performance, and resilience. Okay. Belief in one's capacity. Okay. It's all in your mind. What do you believe? Teachers and principals who recognize and celebrate these small victories, they actually reinforce their sense of competence. So these wins, no matter how minor, build an internal momentum and enhance confidence. When educators track or verbalize their progress, they strengthen the neural pathways associated to persistence. Okay, so as a result, they're more likely to approach future challenges with optimism and determination. So, like I said, you can find that on my website, www.india-white.com. I'm just thrilled to be here with you guys and thankful that you joined me again on the Grit and Equity Talks podcast, where we talk today about how you guys can have gritty self-care as educators and leaders. And so with that said, I do want to remind you again that if you're trying to close the achievement gap, having classroom management issues, if your students aren't doing work, then this is a podcast for you. Please feel free to share it out with your friends. Feel free to like it on Spotify. And thank you so much again to Dr. Matthew Joseph, because this will be featured on Dr. Matthew Joseph's Spotify handle and his social media. You guys can also check out my social media again, and also check out my website, www.india-white.com, for any books, blogs, to schedule me for an event. And just be on the lookout for upcoming conferences and events, because I would love to share these moments with you guys. So thank you so much again for tuning in to the Grit and Equity Talks podcast. And until next time, stay gritty. See ya.